I'm in the Siuslaw National Forest off of a paved road, blacktop, no dirt, which is kind of neat being this far out. I'm about 19 miles from the town of Florence right now, out in the National Forest. I just passed a campground. This is the North Fork Road. I just passed a free campground that I think I'll do a video and show you guys what that looks like back here. It's called the North Fork Campground. Siuslaw National Forest. This video here, I wanted to talk, so a lot of you have asked me some questions about truck repairs. How did the truck perform on the trip down to the Southwest, Nevada, California, Arizona? How did it do? Drive down, drive back to Oregon. And so I just thought I would talk a little bit about that and just kind of share a couple of things. Didn't really have too much troubles other than when I first made the trip down, my cruise control cable, vacuum cable, came undone from the engine. And the only way that I think that happened, it was something that I must have done. And it's I'm going to show you guys what that looks like here in a minute, how it goes onto the engine on these older 12-valve diesel engines. It was a pretty simple fix. I finally found it at a truck stop. I was just poking around the engine, and I found this this line that was disconnected. It went somewhere, and it took me a long time to figure out where it went back to. But all it was just a vacuum line for the cruise control cable. Just reconnected it, and boom, my cruise control worked perfect, and that pretty much eliminated that problem. The biggest challenge, problem, issue that I had was with the front brake pads. And before I took the trip down, I had a complete brake job done on the truck, front, rear brakes. I had everything replaced, everything turned. And the brake pads that I had them put in, they were just like, I think just a metallic brake pad. And I did have a little bit of issues with stopping. I didn't like, was getting a lot of pulsating from the pads when I would brake, when I had to brake really hard. And I just wasn't, was not at all impressed with the front brake pad. So one of the very first things that I did when I got back here to Florence is I talked to my mechanic, and I told him I wanted to put the best brake pads that money could buy on the front of this truck. So we ended up going with, they're called ceramic brake pads, and they're supposed to be top of the line brake pads. These, the ones I have on here, they're Napa brand, but they're top of the line. They put them mostly on fleet applications. So, and I have been happy with them. They're definitely better stopping power, little better performance, I think. I haven't tried them out yet with the camper on the truck, all the loaded weight, so I'm not sure how it's going to do, but they are the best pads that I could get for this particular model. Generally, I am a big believer when it comes to brake pads to always go with original equipment replacement pads, so in this case Mopar, but Mopar has discontinued the factory brake pads for this truck. I can't buy them anymore, so the only other choice is go with an aftermarket, but ceramic brake pads. So as far as the cruise control cable that became disconnected from the engine, you're probably not going to be able to see it, but if you can see where my finger is pointed right here, there's a cable that right here that connects onto the engine for the vacuum pressure for the cruise control. So that came disconnected, and it's one of these. I believe it's this one right here. So if any of you that happens to you and you have one of these model year trucks, that would be your cruise control cable, and these are just vacuum lines. That's one of the nice, simple reasons why I like this year truck, because everything is mechanical. There's no electronics with it. It's very simple and easy to diagnose. You can see here where I'm already having some electrolysis built up on the battery connections after I cleaned them. So that kind of shows you how fast that battery post connections can get dirty. So I'm going to have to brush those off and then spray some of that chemical on it that I mentioned. I haven't done that yet. But other than that, and then the other issue that I had was the air filter. When I was in Death Valley climbing out of that really gnarly hill and entering back into the California side, I had to pull over just as I was cresting one of the top of the hills. It was the first hill, not the second one, but the first hill. I had to pull off the road and I had to let the engine cool down because it was getting hot. And so the following day, I had pulled off the air cover, looked inside, and looked at the air filter, and it was dirty. And I think it was definitely restricting some of the flow and causing the engine to heat up. So I think on a long trip like this, carrying an extra air filter would always be a smart thing to do, especially if you have one that may be hard to come by. Most of these are pretty common. I went when I was in Bishop, California. I just drove into the Napa dealer, and they sold me one for about $40. What else can I say? That's all the problems that I had, just the air filter. And as far as like doing an oil change on this truck, it's a pretty simple. I do them myself. There's just a spin-on oil filter right there. The truck takes about 10 quarts of oil. That's with a filter. And then the other important thing is the fuel filters, and I do these myself as well. And there's two filters that you need to be concerned with, one being the major one, the inline paper filter. It's right here in this canister right here, and it's pretty simple to do. All you do is you loosen. There's a nut right here. You're probably not going to be able to see it where my finger is pointing, but there's a nut right there. You undo that nut, and you undo a couple of lines, and then you drain the fuel out of the canister before you remove it. And then you simply you pull it off. It slides right out. You do have to crawl underneath the truck to do it, and then also reinstalling it. And then you've got to prime the fuel system with this truck's got a manual priming bulb, which is right down here on the block, and you just pump it about 20 times until it gets really firm. And then the other filter that a lot of people forget about, and I didn't realize it was on this truck until after a couple of years I bought it, there is a filter, a spin-on filter right down kind of underneath in this area. You're not going to be able to see it, and I probably won't be able to get the camera in there to show you, but there's a small spin-on filter that has a little metal screen in it, and you simply just get underneath there with an extension and remove that drain bowl and clean out any grime in it. Take some brake cleaner and spray on that metal filter. It is considered a reusable filter, so you could just clean it out with some brake cleaner, and then just reinstall it. I have replaced them, and I did buy a replacement. But after I did that, the truck seemed to run a little better. It seemed to have a little bit better bottom end with the truck after I cleaned it, and it's been running well. I just fueled the truck up, and I am getting about almost 19 miles to the gallon in the truck. And that's a combination of driving around town and then also on the highway. Of course, driving on the highway, I will get better mileage. I've gotten as good as up to 22 miles to the gallon driving on the highway. This truck does really, really well. And those numbers are being unloaded, not with the camper. With the camper on the truck, I was getting around 14 to 16 miles to the gallon on the trip south. Not bad. I'm not going to complain with that. So let's see. What else could I share? What else can I tell you about this truck? Here's the brake. What do you call? Isolator, battery isolator. This right here, the battery isolator. So this is where the power wire from the trailer plug-in for the truck camper in the truck bed. That's where this is here. It goes to the truck bed, and this is that isolator, battery isolator, so that when the camper's on the truck and I'm driving the truck batteries will charge. The truck will charge the truck camper batteries, and then when the truck ignition is turned off, I won't drain the main truck batteries on the truck. So that's a pretty standard piece of equipment in the RVing industry. So other than that, tires and stuff, the tires have held up well. These are BF Goodrich commercial TA tires, 16-inch tires. You know, that's kind of another thing that I've noticed that is a real popular upgrade on these older trucks, is to go with a taller wheel and tire, such as like 19.5s or taller than these 16-inch wheels and tires. You definitely, I think, get a better ride. But as far as will that be something I'll be doing in the future, probably not. I'd rather just, I'd like to just keep everything factory as much as possible. And if I want bigger wheels and tires, I'll just go buy a new truck or whatever. But unless I scored a good deal on a set of used wheels or something like that, I might make the changeover. But when you do this kind of stuff, when you change wheels and go with larger tires, and that affects the gear ratios and the transmissions, and you're just better off keeping everything stock, in my humble opinion. It's the same thing like with this engine here. A lot of people ask me, hey, are you gonna mod it up? Are you gonna change the fuel plate and put a big exhaust on it, and do all this stuff? And my answer at this point is no. There is a lot of things you can do to these engines. These older 12-valve Cummins turbo diesel engines, my gosh, I mean, they're very, very cheap to, boost the horsepower. But when you start doing that kind of stuff, everything, you gain one thing, but you sacrifice another. And, to me, it's all about fuel mileage. It's all about getting the best fuel mileage that I possibly can out of the rig, and, it running efficiently as I possibly can. So, doing those high performance mods, if anything, you're probably going to end up burning more fuel. And, for the price of a lot of that kind of stuff, I'd rather just buy diesel at the gas station, So yeah, that's kind of my outlook and my attitude on a lot of aftermarket stuff. I've when I was a younger kid, I did a lot of aftermarket, upgrades and mods on vehicles and trucks, and I've kind of been down that road in my life, and I've just kind of come to my own conclusion that, most of it is just a waste of money. And, it's kind of like if you want some new technology or whatever, just sell this and go buy a new truck, or go buy what it is that you want, in most cases, that's, that's just my take on it. That's just what I think. There's, everybody's different, and everybody's situation is different, and, the sky is the limit when it comes to, modifying things. But I'm just not a big believer in it anymore. I like things that are factory. I like to keep the factory thing, and I just like to, if anything, I just like to improve what I currently have, and just keep maintaining what I have, keep it running in optimum performance, and make some small improvements with what I have, but not actually change any type of designs, or mess with the engineering or anything on the vehicle. So anyways, that's kind of my take, guys. That's kind of my mechanical talk. Overall, I'm very, 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 very happy with this truck. And my other attitude with this being a vehicle that's 20 years old is, what, it runs awesome, and I don't have any problems. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a good thing in my book. And am I going to be upgrading this for something new? I don't have any reason to. Like I said, it runs terrific. It gets just as good of mileage as a lot of these newer trucks do. And so, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I'm very, very happy with this truck, and it has really, really served me well. So there's kind of a little pitch on my on the truck. So as far as having it being a two-wheel drive, a two-wheel drive is definitely has its advantages. I'm still happy with it, with the two-wheel drive. I even did a little bit of off-roading when I was down south, and when you load one of these one-ton trucks up with weight in the back, you'll be really surprised a lot of the places that you can go. This rear end in here is a limited slip rear differential, and it does very well. It does surprisingly well with the camper on it. A four-wheel drive is always a good thing. I have nothing negative to say about a four-wheel drive. at all. I think if I was to buy a new truck, if I was to, really go that route and splurge and, get something new, I probably would get a 4-wheel drive. So, but with, that's, really what I have to say. 4-wheel drive is definitely a good thing. And a lot of people in the market are looking for 4-wheel drive, but if it comes down to a purpose of utility, is it something you really need, or is it something you wants versus needs? You have to make that choice. But, it is nice, and I'm very happy without it. I don't have to maintain the 4-wheel drive system. The truck has a lower center of gravity, which is always a good thing hauling the truck camper around. You don't want to be, for as far as handling and everything goes, being a lower center of gravity is always a good thing in my opinion. So yeah. What else? I'm going to be talking about the lower Stabler loads that I had installed on the rear here, on the rear springs, and that's going to be the next video here. So, but other than that, yeah, tires go. These are BFG tires. They have held up really well. I want to say I've got I think 25,000 miles on these tires, and they have held up well. They've got a warranty, I think, of up to 30,000 miles. And if they don't go 30,000 miles, then I'll have them replaced for free. I bought a warranty on these tires from Discount Tire. And I don't know if that was such a good thing or not, but they gave me a good deal on them anyways. But if they don't make it 30,000 within the tread depth limits, then they will replace all of the tires for free. So pretty good deal. So I've got to keep my eye on that. But I do rotate the tires. That's another important thing to do, is to keep them rotated and aired up proper. Keep them aired up. I've been running about 75 pounds in my tires. That seems to be a good happy medium. And even when I was on the road traveling, I was running them at I found 75 pounds to be the sweet spot for me. So yeah, guys, all right, this is a long one, and stay tuned. I'm going to be sharing with you guys the Stabler loads. We'll talk to you later.